So, as far back as I can remember, man, I was like 4 years old, right? And my mom used to put TV on for me, and I would watch WWF back then, right? World Wrestling Federation. My superhero growing up was Hulk Hogan. That was my hero. That was everything for me. Like I remember I saw him lose to Undertaker when I was little, and I cried because like how could he lose? You know, he was like a superhero. I thought it was real. Like I was little. It was awesome for me, and I followed it my whole life. And I never really got into sports. My parents put me in karate. They didn't like it. I mean boxing. They didn't like it. I was in t-ball. It's like baseball, but they put the ball in a stick and you gotta hit. Like, you're really small. Didn't like it at all. I hated it. I mean, to this day I don't really watch it. And and then when I hit middle school, and then we moved around a lot too, so it was very difficult. My parents, being immigrants, really not knowing anything. My dad worked since he was like 10 years old. Immigrated here, worked his whole life. He didn't know anything about sports. My mom didn't know anything about sports. They didn't know about putting their kids into it is going to help them. And my friend said, try this, we'll put you in. Just as long as you're doing good at school, we're okay. And so my brother went to middle school. I mean, I was in middle school. My brother's a year older than me. He went to Bell High School. I was engaged Middle School, Helena Park. And he told me, hey, there's a wrestling team. I just joined it. And I was like, oh, wow, there really is. And, back then I was 180, 5 foot. I was a little ball. And, and my brother was like, you better start losing weight because it was really hard. I didn't know, but my brother lost every single match. He scored 1 point his entire freshman year because they did a full Nelson on him. And, I swear. He doesn't mind me telling this, by the way. He doesn't care. But he's also the best statistician Bill has ever had in history. So my brother told me, you better get in shape. You better start running. You better start working out if you want to do this. And I used to engage. I used to play with my friends, like steel cage matches. We'll like go to climb a fence and we'll like drop each other during PE. And we'll like, do these like fake matches. Like I was so into it. And the cool thing was I would watch techniques on TV. I'll watch them do like a small package, which later on I found out is an inside cradle where you hook the leg and you put him in. So it was like the same stuff. And so once I started running, started getting in shape. So I dropped down from 180 in 8th grade to 120 in 9th. Wanted to try out. The coach from day one was very negative with me because he thought my brother, because my brother was awful. But I mean, he tried. And so I did the mile run, 3 bleachers, joined the team. I did pretty well. I remember my first rookie tournament, I got 3rd place, and then my next JV tournament, I got 1st. So then I was like, I'm gonna challenge for varsity, right? I 112s. I dropped down to 112, by the way, just working out wrestling. Right? I dropped from 120 to 112 like that, and I was walking around at 109. So I gotta be underweight, and I remember beat the guy for the varsity spot. I was all excited. I'm like, this guy wasn't that good. I'm gonna win varsity matches as a freshman, and then I went to this Downey duels tournament. I was in Bosco. I think it was Bosco. I was bottom, right? They took me down like nothing. They're beating me up. And I just like got beat up, teched. I didn't get pinned though. I got teched my first 2 matches. It was a dual tournament, right? Five matches. So that Bosco kid, arm chops me, but like he hits the outside of my arm like hyperextends. It goes in and out. And I'm just like kicking and screaming. I'm like, oh my God. So the coach is like, yeah, he's done. And it hurt real bad. And I remember the next day I went back to school. I had a black eye. I had bruises everywhere. And like my teachers were like, hey, David, are you, because they were barely starting to call me Corona, right? I'm a freshman. They call me Corona since I was in high school, by the way, even though that's my last name. So I was a freshman. My teachers were like, David, are you okay? Is anything going on at home? Is everything okay with your parents? And I'm like, yeah, why? You have a black eye? Oh, I'm in wrestling. Oh, no, man. Just walked away. They already knew it. Bill has a culture of wrestling. They've been knowing it. So my coach saw me weigh in. I was at 109. And he's like, what the heck? How are you at 109? And you're wrestling at 112s. And I was like, I just barely ate. I'm sorry. I know I got to be lower. I barely ate. And he's like, hey, you ate. And I was like, yeah, I barely ate. And it was a day of weigh-ins, right? I didn't know. Being a freshman, you don't know you got to cut weight. And so he's like, you're making 103s. And I'm like, oh. And back then, our guy was pretty good. Jose Parr. He's a really cool guy. I haven't seen him in a couple years, but he's a great guy. He had ringworm all the time. He was just infested with it. So they were like, go down to 103s. So I went down to 103s and I started winning varsity matches. I was doing great. And then I challenged Parr for the spot. I beat him, but I remember I ripped my ear like I was beating that day. And then Parr was still a good friend, but he was really mad because I was a little. I talked a lot of smack when I was a kid, so I deserve smack talking back. But yeah, it was a great freshman year. Sophomore year, I did pretty well, and I mean, it just became something I loved. I love, to this day, just the struggles, the knowing this guy's ranked at state, but you're gonna go in there and knowing he's probably gonna kick your butt, but you're gonna go in there and fight, and you're gonna go in there to try to win. And it's just that mentality that stuck to me, and I've always talked to people about it, no matter what it is I did in life, whether it was just going to college or even just being in my high school classes. People were sick of me talking about wrestling, but it was going to college, doing my credential classes. I coached soccer. I involved wrestling in that, and now I coach wrestling, and it's always been wrestling for me because it's just been such a great obsession. I just love it.